How's it going, everyone? I'm Chase Lee, reporting for DallasMoviescreenings.com, and I got another movie to review for you guys, and that would be Song to Song. This is the new Terrence Malick joint, and so full disclosure, before I get into this review and have everyone yell at me in the comments section, I've only seen one Terrence Malick film in my life. I've only seen The Thin Red Line. I thought it was a really great war film. I need to rewatch it and whatnot, but I have not seen any modern Malick. So I'm talking Tree of Life, Into the Wonder, Knight of Cups, and now Song to Song. And I realize it's vastly different from him telling a traditional story. And I also realize that it's not for everybody. I love experimental filmmakers. I love experimental filmmaking. I love different types of filmmaking. David Lynch is one of my favorite directors, and that guy is into some abstract, surreal shit. And I love him. I hated this movie. Now, I will give Terrence Malick a shot in his older stuff, and I will also watch The Tree of Life as far as modern stuff, because I heard that's the best one. But this just has nothing going for it. I will try to do my best to explain everything about this movie and why it's terrible. And I realize the Malick fanboys and girls are going to attack me in the comments. That's fine. Please tell me why you like it. But for me, I hated this movie. So let's get real and break this down. Let's start with the writing and directing, because this is where it faults the most. Got to start with the writing, and I got to break it down by section. The actual story itself is not interesting. It is, I hate using this word, pretentious, and making it deeper than it is. Because all it is, this is what the IMDb plot says. It's two love triangles, obsession, betrayal, set in the music scene in Austin. Okay, that sounds slightly compelling. There's nothing to this movie at all story-wise. It's just a bunch of people falling in love with the same people, getting screwed over, going to sleep with other people, coming back to the same people. It's just going back and forth for 2 hours, and it has no purpose whatsoever. Just people going from relationship to relationship. Oh, well, I love you. I hate you now. I'm going to go over here. Oh, I love you. Oh, now I hate you. You were the wrong person. I'm going to come over here back to the original person. I love you again. I hate you again. Is that what the movie was meant to do? Because the movie is called Song to Song. So what you're telling me is these main characters are having sex and being in love for, like, what's the average song length? Like 3.5 minutes. So they're just being in a relationship for like 3.5 minutes, and then go on to the next person and do that for 3.5 minutes and keep going back and forth. So the story itself, I thought there were, like I said, no real depth, no meat to it. Just people just wandering around in scenes, just, I guess, loving each other in relationships that we don't really care about. And Malick tries to make it, more meaningful than it actually is. And I didn't buy into it whatsoever. And I didn't think any of the relationships were believable, and it just kind of goes on and just drags and drags. And there's no real weight or purpose to it. The characters. I didn't like any of the characters. Everyone was extremely unlikable. And these characters themselves are extremely underdeveloped. They might have like some character traits or some personality, but that's it. It does not go beneath the surface. If you're going to have a movie about relationships, it needs to be interesting people that have interesting relationships, or at least compelling relationships. I didn't feel that at all. I just felt like they were playing themselves. Michael Fassbender, Ryan Gosling, Natalie Portman, and Rooney Mara were just themselves walking around and loving on each other and stuff. And just there was no likability to anyone. There was no compassion. There was no emotion. There was no connection to any of these characters at all. And some of their like character moments, some of them would actually shine. So I'll give them credit on that. Like, some of the performances in some scenes were good, but those scenes were ultimately pointless because they were just thrown in there just randomly, because the story is all over the place. Just going from here to there, there, introducing subplots and all this garbage that doesn't really make any sense to the overall story. It's just kind of there. So and like I said, it doesn't mesh with the other character moments. So it's just like no death, a huge amount of death, and now we're back to square one. So the characters themselves are very poorly written. And speaking of that poorly written, I thought some of the dialogue was cheesy as hell. And most of the film is done in voiceover, accompanied by what's happening on the screen, with the action and the relationships and whatnot. The actors sound so bored in the VO booth. I could not believe what I was hearing. They're just like literally, this is how like some of the scenes would be. So like Rooney Mara and Ryan Gosling, right? They're in love, ha, they break up, and then the VO over Rooney Mara would be like, "A water droplet is the birth of life," and you're like, first of all, how does that correlate with you breaking up with someone? And second of all, you sound bored out of your fucking mind. So yeah, I just think the writing is atrocious. There's nothing to it. Let's move on to the directing. Terrence Malick, I realize that you were talented. I see talent in this. But this movie is ultimately pointless. It is meandering, and it just wanders off into like this unfocused territory. You have no idea what you want to do, and you just show random scenes when you want to. Nothing is, it just doesn't flow well at all. It's just kind of all over the place, like I said. And you use kind of like that fly on the wall kind of wandering around cinematography, which I will agree does help in certain scenes, but there's also a downfall. I just think this is poorly directed. It just goes on way too long. There's no real focus to it. And like I said, I hate using the P word, but Malick is a little pretentious in some scenes, making some scenes a little bit more in depth and bigger than what they actually are. So, and bottom line, I didn't care about any of the characters or the story. So that's why it felt like 500 hours long. So moving on to the acting. I think this was a waste of talent. You could have literally got any one of these roles and it could have been serviceable. Ryan Gosling, Michael Fassbender, Rooney Mara, and Natalie Portman are some of the most talented actors and actresses working today. You waste their talent on characters that we don't care about, on a story that's not even that compelling. They look lost half the time. They look like they just stumbled on on the streets of Austin and a camera was falling, whatever, like, hey, you and Rooney Mara, go make out under a tree or something. I'll make it look artsy and stuff by shooting from a downward angle at a Dutch angle as well, and then have the sun behind you. And it's just, they don't even look like they're in a movie. They don't even look like they're portraying characters. They just are wandering around in scenes, going to parties, drinking. You're basically just filming their life. And so I thought it was a waste from all four of them, and even some of the ones that pop up just as minor characters. Holy shit, is that even worse of a waste? Like, God, I don't even want to ruin who's in this just in case if you were curious, but like they just kind of pop up and then that's it. Nothing really much to them. But I just thought everyone was wasted. And even when Fassbender, Gosling, Portman, and Mara all had like genuine, heartfelt moments where you actually felt sorry for them, it was too late at that point because those were in sparse measures. Most of the time, they had no personality, no charisma, no character, no nothing. They were just saying lines to say them. Then when they got to the emotional stuff, it's like, oh, that's why they're good actors and actresses. This is why I like them. But it doesn't make sense with the movie because it's just jarring when they actually try and when they actually act. So it does not mesh well performance-wise whatsoever. Cinematography. Like I said, I actually dig Malick's shooting style in terms of the whole like fly on the wall concept, kind of like fisheye documentary look where you're kind of following these characters around in kind of like a dream like fashion, like you're floating on a cloud. I actually like that. And I actually think it adds a unique visual aesthetic to these films as you're watching them. Like you kind of feel like you're there with them in the situation to really kind of let the emotions kind of sink into you even more. The problem is with this one, while there are really good establishing shots and really interesting, moving around with the characters and stuff and camera placement and all that stuff, some of the cinematography is good. But then some of it just appears lazy, and like you might have a camera at a Dutch angle, but like super down low, so you only see like their chest and their shoulders and stuff. and like half their torso, and it just doesn't really make sense. And it's just, that's where some of the unfocusedness comes from the story and the character standpoint and the acting, all the way into the cinematography. It's just kind of all over the place. But I will admit that some of the cinematography is good, and I actually do like that dreamlike cloud floating style that he has. Like I said, it's there to make you as an audience member feel like you're in this situation, feel like you're in this situation with these characters that do feel grounded. These characters feel grounded. They're just very poorly written and poorly realized. So the cinematography is good for the most part. Editing-wise, it's atrocious. Since it's all over the place and extremely unfocused, and you don't care about anyone, that 2 hours feels like a marathon. I swear to you, 10 to 15 people walked out of this movie. So I am not the only one that felt the kind of unfocus of the film and kind of the boredom overall. So I was not the only one. So I thought the editing and the pacing was absolutely atrocious. The music, some of it worked because I thought it was experimental and was kind of mixing well with the experimental filmmaking and storytelling. But then there would be some songs that just didn't mesh well at all, and it was just there to stand out in a bad way and not really blend in with the scene and the characters themselves. So I thought the music was very hit and miss. Guys, overall, I hated this movie. I really did. But you know what? I can't give this movie an F because I realize that Malick is an extremely talented filmmaker. And for all you people out there that are just like, well, you just don't get it. Like I said, I love David Lynch, and some of his stuff is even too far for my little Peabody mind to comprehend. That's why I have to watch him over and over again. But I have no interest in watching this movie again because it didn't even get me the first time. And like I said, when you're trying to be deeper than what you actually are, that's kind of annoying to me. Like, people would break up in the movie and be like, the start of life begins with birth. And it's like, what? That just makes no sense. So, guys, I'm not going to give it an F because the cinematography is good. And I do like that type of style. And I did like some of the scenes with the actors. That's the only reason why I'm not going to give it a full F, because I appreciate some of the technical aspect with the cinematography and some of the acting scenes, even though some of those scenes were either pointless to the overall story or just very just randomly inserted. So, guys, once again, I hated this movie. Please let me know what you thought down below, and what is your favorite Malick movie for me to watch. Not a fan of modern Malick so far, but I want to see more of his older stuff and then watch The Tree of Life and then probably stop after that. So I'm going to give Song to Song a solid D. I was going to give it an F, but I think on a technical level, I do appreciate it from that aspect, and that is very hard to do. I understand that, so I will give it the benefit of the doubt and not give it a flat-out flunking grade and give it a straight-up D. But I have no desire to ever watch it again. So what about you guys? What do you guys think of Song to Song? I know I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments and a lot of dislikes. I get that. But please let me know down below why you like this movie. And I would like to know, like, is there something I'm missing? Am I dead inside? I have no clue. But I want to like every movie, guys. But it's just this one did not work for me. So let me know down below, Song to Song. Let me know your thoughts and tell me why I'm wrong. So that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMovieScreenings.com. And tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.